Okay, good evening, everybody. I'd like to call this PERB meeting to order, February 7, 2022. The first item of business that we have to do is every year in February, we have to nominate or renominate our officers of our board. The positions that are available are the chairperson, vice chair, and the secretary. Very briefly, some of the jobs that are assigned to be a chair is or vice chair or secretary is that there are no term limits, and existing officers can be renominated, and whoever's nominated can accept or decline, and then we vote. So I guess the first position is the chair. If anybody'd like to nominate a person to be chair, could you do so now?
I nominate Danu for chair.
Second.
Okay, thank you. I accept. All right, how about vice chair? Currently, Tim Bresnahan is our vice chair, but I don't see him here. So,
Here, you just don't see my picture.
oh, there you are. Very good. All right. So do we have a nomination for our vice chair? I'll nominate Tim Bresnahan for our vice chair. Do you accept or decline, Tim?
I would accept if that's the will of the board.
I second. This is Chris.
Okay, very good. And then we'll vote at the very end of all this. And then the third officer is the secretary. Currently, our secretary is Chris Grow. Would anybody like to step up to be secretary, or Chris, would you be willing to continue being our secretary? And if so, I'd like to nominate Chris Grow.
I'll continue unless anyone else wants to jump in. I would welcome you. But I'm happy to continue.
Yeah, second.
All right, great. All right, great. So for chair, we have Danu, vice chair, we have Tim Bresnahan, and secretary, we have Chris Grow. In essence, it's the same officers continuing for this year, 2022. All in favor, vote. Okay, anyone opposed? All right. Then the existing board will be reappointed for 2022. Our second item of business is the approval of the agenda. Does anybody have any items they'd like to add to it, or, well, we can't do that, but does anybody want to make a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Okay, second.
I'll second that.
Okay, great. And all approve? Okay. Approval of our minutes, the draft of December 8, 2021. I don't know. Hopefully it was a lot of minutes this month, so I hope you guys had enough time to review all the minutes.
So moved.
Okay, second.
If Jan made that motion, I would definitely second.
Okay, all right, great. All right, all in favor? All right, anyone opposed? The draft of January 18, 2022 are retreat minutes. If anybody'd like to make a motion to approve those.
All motion.
Okay, I'll second the retreat minutes. Everyone approve? Anybody opposed? Okay, the minutes stand approved. Public items not on the agenda. Is anybody here from the public who would like to say a 3-minute comment about anything that isn't on our agenda? Okay, nobody? If not, we're going to move right on to the item number 5, the presentation of the revised Carnegie Library design. And Eric, if you want to go ahead and take over and do your presentation. Before we get started, Eric, is there a way, do you have a preferred method of how we respond or give our feedback to you? Do you want to go through like each slide, or you want to just do the whole presentation and then we double back and then have questions? Does anybody have any feelings about that?
I'm okay if anyone gets a question that pops up as I'm going through it, feel free to ask it. Otherwise,
Okay.
if I make it through it quickly enough, yeah, you can
Okay.
just you can do Q&A at the end.
Okay.
Okay.
All righty.
All right, well, thanks everyone for having us. This is the Manitou Springs Carnegie Library Addition project. It just kind of refreshed everyone's memory here. The Carnegie Library kind of sits on the large park space on Manitou Avenue in Pawnee.
I'm on Parap right now. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye.
And so a brief description of the project is that we are adding on to the existing Carnegie Library to kind of bring it into the 21st century for libraries and provide a bunch of flexibility and accessibility to the library space. I'm assuming I've talked with most of you in the past over our other meetings with Parent, and there's some really key items that came up in the past is that we just want to make sure you are minimizing the hardscapes and maximizing grass area. We want to minimize the impact the addition has on park space, and we wanted to explore the opportunities that the addition further to the south and some of the previous design options that we're seeing.
Sorry, I'm going to rip just a moment. Could we everybody make sure if you're not speaking, if you're muted? We're getting some ambient noise. Someone is distracted. Thank you.
Thanks for bringing that up. And so the key elements for this addition and for this project to be successful is that we need to assure that the Carnegie Library is that celebrated moment and remains the prominent structure on this historic site. And we also want to make sure that we're preserving as much park space as possible. And, you know, I think the last time we all got together, there was, you know, general agreement in the direction we were heading with some comments. And the end of the meeting was kind of set as, well, we still have to go into city council. We still need to talk with the city engineers, and we still need to talk about site parking requirements. And we wanted to circle back with Parab to make sure that if anything changed, we'd be able to report back and show you what the ramification of those changes would be. The good news is that through the city council and the city engineer and the parking discussions, we really have not seen much of a change in the overall site design. And so what you see here is going to be very familiar to what has been seen in the past. And just to go through real quickly here, we've got the existing Carnegie Library in blue. We have a 450 square foot stair and elevator portion of the building that then connects it down to the lower level where we have the dug-in first floor addition with a rooftop deck on top of it for green roof space and an outdoor patio space to make sure that we're leaving as much outdoor functionality for the park as possible. And then the parking strategy, you know, after discussing with the city, it was deemed that, you know, due to the commercial core requirements, there really isn't a requirement for on-site parking from a city standpoint. However, it was really important to provide one accessible parking space on the site adjacent to the main entry of the building to make sure that, you know, the addition and the existing structure are both accessible in a much more meaningful way. And so before we had a 90-degree turn in, and just as the design has evolved, we've turned it into very similar to a typical driveway style pull in to an angled spot with the ability to back out. And so I think that kind of covers just in general the minimal impact we've done to the site. And I guess something else to point out that was brought up by Parab was the desire to have this walkway to the north be as small as possible. So we've reduced that down to a 6-foot pinch point from the existing landscape. to this edge of the sidewalk. So again, just trying to keep it as small as possible and giving back as much grass space to the park as possible.
Eric?
Yep.
I have just a quick, a few questions about the planters that are in front of the building.
Yes, the existing ones.
Yes.
Mhm.
I was wondering, when I look at the front of the building in your original first picture on your cover page, I feel like the library is really enhanced with the nice rounded windows and the really low profile of the gardens there, where you can actually see more of the building. And I was wondering if it would be possible to, and it's really nice having all the nice rounded organic curves and stuff. Like we have the rounded grass area, the rounded curb area with the planter that's there now. Is it possible to do that with your new planters, to like make them rounder so they're not so 90-degree square coming out of that doorway, and just to soften that up and lower the profile of those walls so that they're more like curbs that would match the height of the existing circle, and try to make it more rounded and more organic to blend in with the natural rounded contours that are there now?
Absolutely, we could definitely kind of try to carry on more of this rounded aspects of the existing planters and hardscape work. Just to make sure we're on the same page, when you were saying the planters we have, were you referring to kind of the green roof portion on the patio?
No.
Or was it...
It was that work just where we were in the front of the building, and you actually have a better illustration of it farther down in one of your pictures. So when we get there, well, maybe you don't.
So this is kind of the
Yeah.
current.
Yeah. Do you have one? Yeah, right there, that guy.
Mhm.
Yeah. See how it's just so, to me, it looks just so bulky and clumsy, and it doesn't have any flow or rhythm to it. And it really seems to me, it takes away from the building. And it'd be nice if the walls weren't built up so high. And maybe even if we had like a little bit of a space between the actual building and the planter itself.
And are we talking about these planters?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Understood.
Yes.
So maybe this will help clarify a little bit, but yeah, I think our intent is to leave the existing planters in place and not modify them.
Okay.
And yeah, I think if it,
Because they look pretty modified.
yeah, so I think what you're reacting to is just our rendering isn't, it's not exactly representative of what is there, but if it helps kind of clarify, the planters that are there right now would be the planters that will be there in the final design. And we can make sure we clarify that in our plan moving forward.
Yeah, because it's very misleading the way you have it drawn.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. It's very the material isn't matched exactly, and the size. My apologies for that. But yeah, just to again make sure we're all on the same page. The intent is that this is going to be the existing planter to remain, and we'll make sure to note that again.
I suppose we could do like a little bit of the pink curb just to define it a little better, just to keep things a little contained, but nothing like the walls, because definitely they look like actual sitting walls that people could sit on. Because if you look on the corner of the building, they rise up pretty high up there, going up against the building. Yeah,
understood.
that guy.
Yeah, that is just it's a graphical error on our part, I would say. Sorry.
Otherwise, I appreciate how much you've minimized the hardscape. I don't know, that's just me. I don't know if anybody else has any other different thoughts or feelings about that particular area there.
I think it looks great.
I think it's going to be a great addition, and About time. I'm glad we're jumping in.
Well, I missed what Jan said. Jan, what did you say?
I think it's a great addition and it's about time, and I'm glad we're jumping in.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. Anybody else? If not, you can continue on.
Okay. And so I guess the other site element I do want to point out is there will be a new retaining wall around this existing parking spot. And the intent of that is going to be to either match the existing planter or try to work with the existing site wall, depending on material availability that we can find. But other than those areas, the remainder of the site is remaining as unchanged as possible. I won't necessarily go through the floor plans in detail, but just to kind of touch on them a little bit. From the main entry and the 8A parking spot, you'd enter the building. There's a stair that would take you down to the lower level or an elevator. And then we're repurposing the existing Carnegie on the upper floor for that community room. And then looking at opportunities of reusing the existing casework in there for some additional functionality. And then you have that outdoor patio space with the roof to spill out onto it. And then on the lower level, again, trying to having the user experience once they get down to the lower level, have it be open to that north elevation with views out to the park. And then just making sure that we're providing a flexible space for the library to really grow and adapt with whatever the future brings. And then the lower level of the children's library will remain for the children's area, and it's going to get a interior renovation as well. And here's just some images. Again, just going to touch on how the addition is really tucked away, set back, and a low profile to make sure the existing Carnegie has the priority and prominence on the site. Here's a visualization of what that main entry drive aisle and walkway would look like with the angled parking off to the side. And then just an idea of how that rooftop area would kind of allow the park spaces spill out onto it, whether it's benches or planning areas, as well as how that roof overhang can create some covered outdoor space for park visitors to use. And for the south area, and showing that we really tried to reduce the amount of hardscape going to the new main entry, that we are going to leave these existing planters alone and try to maximize the amount of green grass space that's available. And so there was an arborist that came to the site, and the EcoTree report kind of reviewed the health of the trees on the site. And through this addition project, there's two mature trees that are being removed because of the addition footprint, and also the over excavation from the installation of the foundations that would kill the tree that might not be directly in the building's footprint. And the arborist noted that those two trees are end of life, and they recommended that we replant trees in their place, which is absolutely what we are intending on doing for this site. And then we're also looking at ways to repurpose those trees, whether it's for some site furnishing or the ability to kind of honor them in the addition. And then lastly, just to kind of reiterate, the addition that's being proposed now is smaller than the previous design. And I feel like what's very important, and what we've heard from Parab in the community, is really the desire to save as much park space as we can. And what that's resulted in is we're only looking at about 450 square feet of park space that will remain enclosed, that was previously exterior, where all the other portions of where the addition are going are trying to be given back to the park and not taking away from the park as much as possible, compared to the 1,600 square feet of the park space that was kind of being removed by a two-story addition in the past. And that is the update from our city council, our city engineer, and our parking discussions. And again, not much has changed, which I think is a good thing, and it shows just how the meeting with Parab and the community in the past has really helped this project find its way forward. So I guess with that, I'd open up to any questions or comments, or if there's anything anyone would like me to discuss in more detail, we can try to get into it.
I like it.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Jan, did
Yeah. I was just gonna say, I like how you minimize the footprint of it a lot. And that you shifted a lot more of it to the south of the building, so that you can still get the full feeling of the original library structure. I think you guys did a great job.
Thank you.
I think you were very responsive and I appreciate that. Let's get going on build.
Excellent. Thanks, Jan.
Okay, any other questions for Eric? I did notice that we have quite a few folks from the library group. Would anybody like to jump on and add a few more comments or anything?
I'm Michael Doherty. I'm the director of the West Region for Pikes Peak Library District. And yeah, I really appreciate working with Manatee Springs and Eric on this project. And this is something I'm getting more and more excited about as every day passes. Really looking forward to seeing this come to fruition and excited about what we can bring to the community. I know Taryn, the new manager, is here. Taryn, do you have any words?
I would just second exactly what you said. I've been in Manitou since October, so it's been a really exciting journey, and I've really enjoyed all the steps of it. So thank you so much to everyone, and we're really excited to get going.
Taryn, are you our new librarian?
Yeah, I'm the new manager of the branch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Danu,
I can't see you, so I won't be able to recognize you.
Danu, if I
Yes.
can just, hi.
Oh, Rob,
this
yeah.
is-
Hi, Rob.
Hi, how are you? I just want to say, just reinforce what others have said tonight. We're quite excited as being part of a task force to help move this project along. Not only how responsive Eric and Ratio have been, but how responsive the community has been in general to get us to this point. It's been a truly community-based collaborative effort. And we will do so as we go into this next phase, particularly with getting the final approval, but also with the fundraising. So we too, like Jan said, we're quite excited to move forward now and finally get this thing done. And so we look forward. Thank you for the opportunity to hear us out and hear what you had to contribute to where we are today. And we're looking forward to Parab's formal approval and letter of support as we go forward in this second phase of the construction project. Thank you.
Well, we all thank you for considering us and seeking our input too. So I think you did a great job, Eric, you and your team. And thank you, Library Task Force also. Okay, anybody else have any other comments? All right, great. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, everybody. I appreciate your comments and feedback. And I'm sure as this project continues, revised and final drawings will make it their way to you.
Yeah, so now you have to go in front of HPC and City Council then, Eric?
You got it.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we're also going to be having another community design session.
Oh, okay. Okay, all right, I hope you fix those planters.
They will be. They'll look like they've always been there.
Okay, all right,
And just
great.
also, we'll be going.
All right, if
or
nobody
Eric
has
will
any
be
more
going-
comments, I'm
Well, I
gonna
was just gonna
move
clarify
our
that.
meeting along here.
Anu,
Yes,
listen to Rob.
I
Oh,
can't
I
hear
was just gonna say, I was just gonna say that also planning commission. We're going to planning commission as well.
Oh, okay.
That's right. All right,
Okay.
thank you, everybody.
All right, thank you. Okay, we're on item number 6 for reports. Parab. We were contacted by Steve Wood of Concrete Couch. And his group are the ones who made the enclosure around the Bud Ford Pavilion in Soda Springs Park. And in that enclosure, they included these glass roundels. And there are 3 of them that are broken now, and he wanted to get approval to replace the 3 broken ones at the cost of around $350. And so I think that that would be really important to do that. And so I didn't know if Skylar, if you wanted to cover that as part of your parks, or if you wanted us, Parab, to cover that.
Yeah, I can cover it, no problem.
Alrighty. So, and the other thing that I had mentioned to him also was that the parks staff were fixing all the little free libraries, but that they were needing a little, maybe a new paint job, and maybe if some of the panels need to be replaced, if Concrete Couch would be willing to do that as well. So I just put that out there for them. Other than that, that's all I have to report. And I'd like at this time to bring on Michelle Weatherholt, who is our new Parab liaison from council. Michelle, you there?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, do you want to introduce yourself?
My name is Michelle Weatherholt. I've lived in Manitou for 3 years. I grew up in Colorado Springs and moved away and came back to Colorado in May of 2016. And I was just not reelected. I was just elected to city council, and I started my 4-year term on January 4th. And I'm really excited to be the liaison for Parks and Rec. So please reach out with any questions or concerns.
Well, actually, I have a question, Michelle, as part of your liaison. Do you have anything to report to us from council?
I do not have anything to report
Okay.
at the current time.
Okay. Or do you want to bring us up to date with anything that council's just been kind of dealing with, or issues that they're approving or not approving, or?
Yes, actually, yes. Last Tuesday was a big one. Tim Haas had approached city council with changing over there by Becker's Lane, residential to commercial. And he would have put in, he would have put that and said he would have kept it as a warehouse and offices. But one of the residents' concerns was that next city council, 2 to 4 years from now, could change that and make it all business. So it was a 6-1 vote where we did not approve that to be changed from residential to commercial. So that was a big one. And then I do want to say I was very happy to see that the residents came out and voted on not having a third marijuana store here in Manitou Springs. So since January 4th. Those have been the two big ones for me. Oh, and I did speak with Jeff Parker. I have been meeting with Rob Dannon and the task force, and I will be assisting as needed. And then please reach out to me with any assistance. And I did talk to Jeff about that, the thing between being on city council and a resident. So there is no harm because I'm not benefiting financially. So I just wanted to let you guys know that.
Okay, great. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Item number 3, OSAC. We have reports that are included in the packet. And this will bring us to our Park and Rec Department. Skylar, you wanna, the Parks Monthly Report is also in our packet. Does anybody have any questions about the monthly report? Okay, if not, Skylar, you want to take it from item number 2, your report and updates?
Sure. Yeah, I tried to include as much detail as possible in the monthly report, but there's a lot going on, so I've got a bit of a list here. So hang in with me. If you have questions, feel free to interrupt. Tomorrow at City Council, I'm presenting the park use policy. That's the policy we discussed a couple months ago that would limit the number of special events in our parks to 2 per month per park. So I think I got the feeling from Parab last time that there's a pretty unanimous support around that policy. So we're already implementing it, shifting events around just to make sure there's no, back to back events like what happened last year. Help kind of conserve our turf areas in the parks and spread out the events to multiple parks so they don't all happen in the same park. So that's a policy that we're presenting to council tomorrow for formal approval. Also tomorrow, we're presenting, at least there's a larger water conservation presentation, and I'm presenting a small portion of how we're planning to conserve water in the parks. Regardless of drought conditions or not, these are strategies that I'd like to implement to help ensure a more efficient irrigation system. So I've got kind of a whole list, including rain sensors and smart clocks at all of our parks, an audit, as well as replacing all of our rotor heads with pressure regulating heads. That alone will conserve about 10% of water right off the bat in each system. So if my calculations are correct, we could save about 500,000 gallons of water a year if we replace that at all of our parks. So it doesn't limit the water that, we'll still have nice green turf and everything, but it kind of produces a more efficient system that hits the areas where it's supposed to. So we're excited about that strategy. It's probably going to take, a good year or 2 to fully implement, but those are some strategies that I'm presenting to council tomorrow. I'm also continuing to look at switching back to creek water for our pump system that would irrigate Memorial Park and Shriver Park. So I'm working with Rainbird to get some quotes on that and the logistics of having a better pump. I think that was some of the pitfalls that happened last time, which was the reason staff at the time decided to switch over to city water. So until we get a better pump system in place, we'll remain on city water, but it is something that I'm evaluating and trying to determine if that would be a good strategy to switch back or not. Other update, the pool feasibility study has been, the RFP has been released to vendors. So we're expecting proposals back on February 18th. That's the deadline. Had a good kickoff meeting with our steering committee. Thank you to Colin and Chris and Danielle for participating on that committee, and they're really going to help guide the process. So we'll have some better updates for Parab in the coming months on the pool study. Let's see what else. The Our arborist is hitting the ground running. He's already started to update the tree inventory and identify potential heritage trees. We're looking at tree protections, especially for new developments as they come in. And also planning a series of tree plantings and Arbor Day event. And we're also looking at the tree care ordinance. We presented it to you guys a couple months ago. We're looking to incorporate a few more tree protections and heritage tree programs. So that will probably go to council later in the spring, probably April. So I may come back to you guys in a couple months with more feedback on what that looks like, but tree care ordinance coming soon. Recreation side of things, our soccer program, we already have 38 kids signed up to participate in a Manitou teams in the soccer leagues in the spring. So 38 is awesome. That's way more than I was hoping for. So I'm very excited about that. And I'm already starting to discuss summer options for summer programming with the Manitou schools and try and do a partnership there for a baseball, softball program. And we're also looking to bring back swim lessons starting late March. So more information will come for that in the coming weeks. I sent an email out a while back about the library kiosk sign, that big sign that would provide updates for the library construction project. So we're planning to install that later this week, weather pending, but the pair of unanimously supported the location closer to the intersection of Pawnee and Manitou Avenue. So that's where it'll go. Two of my staff members are working on their certified playground safety inspector certification. That they will have that by the end of the month. It's a course you take and a test. So we'll have 2 CPSI certified staff members who will regularly do safety inspections in our parks and playgrounds. And then the last update for me with OSAC, I wanted to mention that we're working on some trail projects and fire mitigation strategies for the summer. I'm looking at particularly the open spaces as well as Intamin Trail, just trying to stay ahead of some fire mitigation and catch up a little there. Then we're also identifying some trail projects on, just some minor improvements for a more sustainable trail, as well as Red Mountain has a few sections that need a lot of work. So we're trying to plan all that out for the summer, and my staff is playing a more active role in supporting some of those projects. Okay, I think that's it for me.
Any questions for Skylar? Connor, do you have?
Thanks for your initiative. That's what I say, Skylar. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Jan.
Okay. Connor, you have your hand up. Do you have a question? Or maybe he's just waving to me. Okay, anybody else have any questions for Skylar? Chris? Okay, if not, we're going to move on to old business. Items number 8. Number 1, the proposed location for Iggy Igloo's memorial. And I see we have quite a few folks here to represent Iggy. Let's see.
Hi, Danu, it's Stephanie.
Oh, hi, Stephanie. Yeah, do you want to go ahead and lead us through it?
Sure.
We pretty much,
Absolutely.
yeah, you guys did you've done a really good job explaining everything, and I think what we should focus on in this meeting is the location, and then just looking at your designs that you have come up with. for
Awesome.
Iggy, how's that?
That sounds perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Is there an opportunity for me to share my screen?
Skylar?
Yeah, you should be able to just click on the bottom. There's a shared screen button. It's green. Do you see it there?
I don't have a shared screen option.
Try moving your little mousey around and see if something pops up at the bottom of our little our video screen here.
Yeah, for some reason,
No? Yeah. Skylar, are you able to help
Yeah.
Stephanie out? Can you put something up there for us to look
Yeah,
at?
Stephanie, I just made you a co-host. Do you see it now? Or if not, I've got it pulled up. I can drive if you want to.
yeah, I'm
That's
still
easier.
not seeing an option to share.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, thank you.
Yep, I got
If you
you. You
wouldn't
just tell
mind-
me what to do.
Sure, if you want to go to page 2.
Okay, can you guys see it all?
Yep, perfect.
Okay,
Thank
perfect.
you. Yeah, thank you for having us again. We're super excited to be here. We met with Skylar a little bit ago about a mural location, and we identified one that we felt really happy with. Iggy always enjoyed reading by the creek. He was a huge Dostoevsky fan, and he also played music by the creek. So this is a natural spot that fits exactly kind of the area that would work well for this. So this is the mural location that we're hoping for. It's the retaining wall in Memorial Park. Across from the laundromat, you can see Manitou Avenue and the train behind it, and you can see the laundromat off to the left. The mural size is approximately 16 feet in length, 4.5 feet in height, and then as you see, the wall tapers down to 2 feet and 2 inches on the east end of the retaining wall.
Does everybody know the general location of this proposed area? Okay.
Awesome, thank you. We're looking for this particular area because we like the idea of having community connection. It really works with Plan Manitou and their structure of incorporating community connection, as well as Iggy's message of healing through the arts. If you could scroll down a little bit, I can talk to you about our budget. The budget for us, our total budget expectation is $2,500. We applied for the match grant for a total of $2,250 for time and materials. And then we have also already received a micro grant for $250. And then if you could scroll down a little bit further, part of our community connection plan is having the community vote on our different designs. And if you'd like to scroll down towards the designs, we would like to offer support for the environment as well as for Parab by adopting this section of the creek as well as this portion of the park, and also having an annual cleanup day that is supported by Iggy's kind of overall message of wanting to preserve water, clean the environment, and protect the environment. He was particularly proud of his experience and his participation during the Manitou flood of 2013, when he helped to clean up Fountain Creek. And so this is also why this is another perfect location for us. He also helped fellow artist Charles Rocky clean out his studio. And so these are the 4 different designs that we would like the community to vote on.
Can you put two, excuse me, it's Stephanie, Skylar, there's 2 more designs beside these 2?
Yep. So number 1 is kind of a warm color design with a few cool colors interacted in. Number 2 is more of a cool color. And you notice that we're still using, and we still have that message up there that people were curious about, which is "You're not alone." So in 2013, Iggy recorded his album and released his album, "You Are Not Alone." And within that album was the song "Floodwaters" that was inspired by his participation with the community of Manitou and cleaning up Manitou and Fountain Creek. This is historically why we would like to utilize this message, in addition to the fact that it does actually reach a large audience. It connects to a lot of people from all different age ranges, from people who are in nursing homes to younger people and everybody in between. So there you have a warmer design, and then the cooler design is 2. And if you could scroll down to 3 and 4. We wanted to include an option with just kind of more neutral without the phrase, and then finally a design that was more interactive directly with the space. And so we hope that the community will be able to look to these and be able to choose an option from these designs. And if you could scroll down to the next portion. A little bit further. Thank you. And we've also been collecting community statements. So part of supporting Plan Manitou and part of our agreement with the match grant is offering a community vote, which is really important for us. The other portion is being able to track data. And so for Plan Manitou, as well as for the match grant, we will be utilizing a Google form that we've already been using, but we'll expand those questions to connect with people about how they're feeling with the mural, in addition to the process of healing through art. The other portion that connects to Plan Manitou is to connect to the tourism and to people who are also visitors, not just residents of Manitou Springs. So in connecting with visitors of Manitou Springs, we know that Iggy had a strong reach from South Dakota all the way up to Denver and beyond, as well as within his local community that he loved here. We believe that with the system of going through Instagram and tagging photos, which is an actual easy way to track data for us on numbers, we will also draw attention to the city of Manitou Springs. We'll also be included on Becca's Creative Arts District map of locations that tourists should stop by and visit. And so as part of collecting data, we've included some community statements tonight from different community members, as well as business owners and people who work and live in Manitou that had a connection to Iggy that would like to invest in this process as well. So.
Okay. All right, great. So I guess does anyone have any questions, first of all, for Stephanie? Okay, then I guess what pertains to us then would be Para. Would somebody like to have any discussion about the location of where Stephanie and her group would like to put the Iggy mural? Would somebody like to make a motion to approve the location for the Iggy mural at the Memorial Park there on the retaining wall by the bridge?
Yeah, this is Tim. I would make a motion to approve that location.
Okay, would anybody like to second that?
Crawford, second.
Okay, great. Any discussion about that? Okay, then all in favor, vote aye. Aye. I can't tell if, all right, if anybody's opposed, please so speak up, otherwise I'll assume everybody approves. Okay, motion passes that that location is acceptable. Stephanie or Katie, did you want us to weigh in on some of these proposed drawings that you have for Iggy?
No, part of the plan for the match grant is that the community has the vote in the design. And so we would really love for the weight of that vote to sit with the community members, if that works for you.
I'm not sure exactly I understood that, but okay.
Oh, so when we applied for the match grant,
Uh-huh.
and as well as connecting with Plan Manitou and supporting the city with that practice and with that plan initiative moving forward. Part of our community involvement plan for the match grant is that the community decides on which design goes forward. And so we would love to keep the vote and have the community vote in once we publish those for the community to make that vote.
Okay, so then at that time, Parrot can weigh in if they want to.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
Yep.
all right, very good. All right,
Thank
great.
you.
All right, any other questions for Stephanie and Katie? All right, if not, thank you for.
Thank you for
coming
your
tonight.
time. We appreciate you.
All right, great.
Thank you all so much.
Now for item number 2, I know that Jenna wanted to get on for this, but she's working tonight. The review Soda Springs Phase 2 Master Plan. I know that Skylar was able to send you guys some documents. I don't know, Skylar, you want to put some of those up there? Or and I guess my first question to ask the para board is, did you guys have a chance to like look at that and kind of review? Okay, great. Hey, Jenna, I just saw you just got on.
I need just a few minutes.
Okay, all right. So, just very briefly, you want to go to the other map that shows the phase 2, what area that is? Yeah, right there. So as everyone can see, phase 2 deals mostly with the area in front and in back of the pavilion. And at our strategic planning workshop, the things that we identified definitely were the water feature. Now in this phase 2, you'll notice there's like a little apron, concrete apron at the front of the pavilion there. Looks like a little checkerboard. That can either be, we can talk about if we want that to be an extension of the pad there, like an apron concrete, which will help minimize the drainage there, because it always has a tendency to get muddy and to get really messy there. So having some sort of a hardscaped apron would help with that. The only other thing that might be a drawback is they ran a gas line right in front of the pavilion there. So if they ever had to access the gas line, they'd have to jackhammer that concrete apron out to get to the gas line. So that would be the only disadvantage to doing concrete there. It's possible that we could maybe do crusher fines. I don't know. I don't know how that would incorporate into the whole look of the park. Another thing that the phase 2 called for was, in the inside of the pavilion on the slab, there were cracks. And what the Hort Copeland Mock, our architectural designers, had proposed was to go in there and fix the cracks and then replace it. At that time, we were going to use flagstone instead of crusher fines, and they were going to kind of do like a little flagstone design to try to fix the cracks in the pavilion slab. But my feeling is that I think that at this point, that slab has been there for as long as I've ever lived here, which is going on 47 years, and it's always been like that. And it seems to me it would be better if we'd spend our money elsewhere or somewhere else in the park, or maybe looked at maybe omitting that piece of it. Jenna, have you been following along? Do you want to take over from here?
Yes,
Basically?
Mike.
Yeah.
My connection's not super stable, so let me know if I freeze or if you can't hear me.
Okay.
So when we designed this phase 2, and I understand that the water feature has been removed from phase 3. So I think the important thing for us is to just keep the consistency through the park. And I like the idea of using the crusher fines to do that, to make it more ADA accessible, even if you're not able to utilize the pavilion as a walkthrough during those times that it's closed. When phase 1 happened, and just as a recap for those that might not be familiar, we utilized all that space and took out what was a terrible looking mulchy area there. But that mulchy area did allow for events to have additional parking. So when we, namely things like our free summer concert series that's been going on about 25 years now, Little London Winds comes every Monday in the summer and plays. And they have about 40 people that play in this big band, and they've been utilizing that area to park. So we made an accommodation for that this year, but only with the knowledge that behind the pavilion, they are still able to park about 25 cars. They really pack them in there, and they've been doing this a long time. And the only way, so they originally didn't play in Manitou, they played in Old Colorado City, and moved to Manitou because we made it really easy for them to be able to play there. So I'm concerned about taking that area behind the pavilion and limiting the parking there, because not only free community events that draw typically a family crowd or an elderly crowd will go away. Not only those things, but also things like the marathon and other big events that use Soda Springs Park will
Oh, we lost you a little bit, Jenna.
Yeah, my connection, I'm gonna turn my video off. My connection's not so good.
Okay.
Namely just expressing concern for wanting to, keep the integrity of the park and make it look as beautiful as it should as our, heart of downtown Manitou Park, but also still allow for the important things that do go on in this park to engage the community to still exist. And that parking is going to be pretty critical to that behind the pavilion.
So how do you think we should direct the architect to design that space? To like, what would be the absolute minimum parking that you could live with?
I think instead of paving certain areas or putting planters in that space or other activation points, I think a crusher fines, maybe a permeable barrier of some sort for aesthetic purposes, but not to concrete in only a certain amount and not allow for that entirety of space to be used.
Would you have, you think you guys would be opposed to like sectioning off specific spaces for cars?
Correct, because if you limit that space, right now people can park 2 inches from each other, and that's again how we're getting these artists to come in and play these free community concerts. If the parking is sectioned off into 8 spaces, that doesn't really help. It doesn't help things like poetry and pottery either, another free community event in the summer. I just want to keep seeing these things moving forward, especially because they are small events, and I don't want to scare them off by making things uninhabitable for them to occur, especially in this park just central to downtown. I think that the small concrete area outside the west portion of the pavilion is a good idea, because that area is known to flood pretty regularly. So I think that would work really well. And I also like the idea of keeping the congruency and the consistency of the crusher fines from phase 1 through 3 into phase 2.
Okay. I think the other thing in that phase 2 plan, there's a lamppost that's kind of right on the corner of that pavilion and where the playground area
Might
is.
have lost you all again.
I'm sorry? Oh, that the architects were talking about relocating that lamp pole, which would be a good idea because it blocks through access in that little narrow space. So we probably have to add and modify some of the lighting in phase 2 there also. Does anyone have any comments or questions or discussion about this?
I do. We had talked about extending that sidewalk that goes to nowhere.
That's right. Yep.
So based on what Jenna is asking for, the sidewalk would have to go into the crusher fines, and how is that for ADA? And do we need to reroute it or demolish it and just have one route that goes up to park and the parking cars? I'm just asking.
Are you, yeah, Jen, are you talking about that sidewalk that kind of abruptly ends and goes nowhere?
That's
Yeah.
the one.
Yeah, the architect actually shows continuing that over to where the bollards are, where the cars drive through. And that would be like the ADA access off of Park Avenue is down where the driveway is, where the cars come in, where the bollards are. And then that sidewalk would connect up to that area. And then people could get over to the handicapped wheelchair accessible picnic tables in that area, and also be able to access the pavilion also. So actually, technically, I know that one footbridge by the Mate is awfully steep now since they redid Manitou Avenue. It didn't used to be that steep. And that used to be like the ADA access across that bridge. Then they were able to go through the pavilion, and then they could exit back out through one of the sidewalks that did go back up to park, but not easily, because I think one of those areas had like a little landing that stepped up. So this would actually enable some sort of the only ADA access is completing that sidewalk. Do you know where I'm talking about, you guys? Para? If you've ever, like, we're like on the park side of the pavilion, there's these picnic tables, and then they have like these sidewalks that lead up to the picnic tables, and then there's one section that just kind of ends and goes nowhere. So that would be the completed ADA sidewalk that would connect up to the driveway over by the restrooms.
The only question I have, Danu, is could we demo where that's that step up that's already there by the ADA tape or the tables? And then take out the sidewalk to nowhere? I'm just trying to help out Jenna. And
well, actually, the sidewalk wouldn't impede her parking because it would run along that planter area is where it would go.
Yeah, you can kind of see that in this. You can kind of see that on the visual there.
I've seen them parked right up on that, so I don't.
I think the sidewalk to nowhere would do well to be finished and yeah, be able to provide that ADA access across. Would it be the pink concrete as we have before, or would we crusher fines that sidewalk? I mean, this would be the question.
I'm kind of thinking, since it's already concrete, that it would make sense just to finish it off in concrete. And it used to be pink, but over time that pink fades, so it doesn't look pink anymore. So that it might look kind of funny having like a washed out section and then having this bright pink adding onto it. But maybe that would be good for visually challenged people. I don't know. But that's something we could look at.
I guess I have a couple questions.
Yes.
One is, how are we addressing ADA accessibility on that end of the park if the pavilion is closed? And the other thing is the parking. Jenna, I'm glad you are participating and bringing that up, because that isn't something that we all considered when we talked last. And I guess another, if we look at this picture, there's parking all along Park Avenue there. Is there any way that those parking spaces could be reserved for the band members that day? Or is parking in the park, are we considering that the only option?
I'm glad you addressed that, Chris, because it is not an option anymore for us to park on Park Avenue. With this being a free community event, we have no budget to run this event. And we now have to pay up to $8 a day for every parking space that is rented for any events. So it just, it's a budget, we don't have a budget for it. And, that in addition to, then it takes parking away from the folks that come to see shows or concerts, a lot of which are elderly that are looking to park really close to the pavilion. So.
Absolutely. Okay. I mean, in general, I'd rather not see people parking in the park, but I trust you, Jenna, and I trust that this is important and that this needs to continue. So I will support it. But I would like to say that I don't want people parking in the rest of the park, like at all, because now we have, what does that look like, do we think?
There won't be any more parking, then, especially not on the west end.
Yeah, I think all of that's kind of been done away with phase one. So I don't think there's even any pulling into the park to park in the grassy area that we kind of included in that phase. I think the whole thing's been scratched.
Okay.
Not
And
an
then
option.
Phase 1 and 3, yeah.
One other thing I'd like to add into phase 2 is a bike ride station. I would like to propose that. It's not really in the outlined area, but where, I think it could go outside of that outlined area, perhaps.
We can definitely consider that, Chris.
I think that's a good addition simply because we don't have anything at this end of town for bike ride.
Except my neighbor has that business down at the old mill wheel there at the very end of the west end. So he's been renting out bikes. He's the guy who was having the rickshaw, the guy on the bike and the rickshaw going through town. I don't know if you guys saw that this summer.
Yeah,
But
the pedicab.
so he's doing that, but he's renting as business, and bike ride is different from that, right?
Right.
Yeah,
That's different
he's
from
actually
that.
moving his, oh, sorry, I must be on a delay. He's actually moving his business, so he won't be on the west end of town, and I don't think it's a conflict. I love the idea of like right in there.
Okay. I was gonna mention something, I forgot. Yeah, I guess we should probably compile what we're gonna omit or modify or consider. Yeah, is that a good way to look at it? And then, so we're talking about omitting the water feature. We're talking about omitting the pavilion slab inside. We're talking about adding some kind of apron to the west side of the pavilion there to help with the drainage and the flooding. And then yeah, go ahead.
The apron on the west side, I'm wondering,
Yes.
based on what the sketch has,
Mm-hmm.
can we have pavers or something so that actually if that area needs to be dug up, it won't be so cost blasting?
Yeah.
Because that would look nice. It would take care of the mud spot and the mud pile and actually help with drainage as well, because it could pass through.
Uh-huh. Well, that would be something that Robin, our architect, could consider and look at different options and alternatives. Then rearranging the lighting, remodifying the lighting poles, maybe adding one or two more and moving that one that's right by the existing one that's there between the pavilion and the playground. And then completing the ADA sidewalk to go over toward the driveway entry where the cars go. And then to kind of figure out some kind of a, I don't know, an aesthetic look for the parking behind the pavilion. I'm not sure how to address that.
I have a question too. With the parking coming in, you know, obviously having the bollards with the chain across, in theory, stops people from coming in. And I know Public Works needs to come in for various things and et cetera, et cetera. Kind of looks UGLY.
The whole driveway thing?
Well, the chain across, and I don't know, just, is there some way that we can throw that into the mix of getting a design that could be a little more aesthetic for a barrier? I don't know, Skylar, what do you think?
Yeah, like adding 2 more bollards in there rather than a chain. Is that what you mean, Jan?
That could work.
Yeah, so that they could just be pulled out of their sleeves and set aside, something like that.
Yeah, those are easy to add. That's a really heavy chain too, if you've ever tried moving it. It's a
It
beast.
is. It's, you know, it weighs more than me.
Yeah, I've
me just
tripped over it. It doesn't budge.
No, and then when I tried to stretch it across to lock it up, boy howdy, I couldn't quite do it. I was, I couldn't quite reach it. I didn't have enough oomph. But that's something we can consider also. I don't know, Jenna, would that be a problem for you guys with your events?
To change the chain to something else?
Yeah, like putting more of those the yellow bollards in and doing away with the chain.
I think it'd just be, those things they're heavy and kind of a pain to unlock and move up and put to the side. And, you know, but the chain has its issues too. So I don't know which is the lesser of two evils, to be honest. You know, the last time somebody actually put a different lock on the chain so that I couldn't unlock it one of the last times. So, you know, I'm open. Doesn't really matter so long as that space can be utilized. I think it's my main objective.
Okay. And then I'd like to have a little bit more some landscaping, if anything, maybe kind of in the areas where you won't be able to park. Maybe if we could do, or even if we could finish that flagstone path, because the flagstone path kind of ends and goes nowhere too. So maybe if we could continue that over to the side of the pavilion or something, or I don't know. You guys know what I mean about that flagstone pathway coming off of the restroom area? Kind of just ends right
I
there.
suppose I know exactly what you mean. I suppose, can we just make a blanket, please? Either finish or remove any pathway that's currently incomplete with a nod towards fulfilling our obligations to make things ADA accessible.
I like it.
So are you just saying that we should try to complete our paths, Tim?
Yeah, Soda Springs is full of, there are at least 2, maybe 3 paths to nowhere there.
Okay.
Well, and I don't think we've addressed the tiny path that's on the side of the pavilion towards Manitou Avenue where the rain garden is and what that little area would turn into. Concrete Couch had done a little path there a few years back. And some of those stones are still in place or concrete blocks or whatever they are. So maybe just if there's another opportunity for a local art project or something to kind of revamp that area. I don't know that we've talked about that. Another path to nowhere.
Yeah, well, you know, and that was supposed to be an ADA path. That path that you're talking about, Jenna. Do you guys know what we're talking about? Like when you come over the footbridge by the Mate? And then when you run into the pavilion, there's a little area that the drain pipes off the pavilion go into that sit right outside of the pavilion. Steve Wood and Concrete Couch did like a little rain garden there and transplanted some native bushes there to kind of create a rain garden. And then running downhill from there was supposed to be an ADA path, which it's a little bit hard to discern that that's what it is. So that probably would be an area to look at too, trying to figure out something to do with that area also. So, all right.
I would like to see the crusher fines path from the phase that was just completed that goes to the Black Bridge. I would like to see the crusher fines path continue along the creek to the other bridge and then continue on behind the building, I think would make sense.
Or it would lead to the parking lot, right? Parking lot.
Yeah.
Parking lot that's not a parking lot.
I mean, I think people walk, you know, if the pavilion is locked, then you either need to go to the right or the left. So, I mean, I think it serves a purpose. You know, usually there's not cars there.
Yeah. You know, that's something to definitely talk about. Yep. My only hesitation, I'd be up for doing that, but I'd rather like use some kind of railroad ties to contain that crusher fines instead of pouring a concrete curb. And the only reason why I suggest that is because Skylar's crew might have to, at some point, drive their trucks into that park to service something up to the grassy area. Like they'd have to go through the bollards there and come behind the pavilion. And the only way to get over to where that Black Bridge is to go around the pavilion where the rain garden is, where you just talked about, Chris, or else they have to drive through the pavilion to get to that other side now, because the way on the west end, the way they placed those big leftover sandstone boulders, they put it so close to the entryway there that a truck can't get through there, because originally it was designed for a work truck to be able to get on the crusher fines path, to be able to drive to service that area down there. But the path is so narrow that there's no way a truck can do it. The little golf carts could probably, get there or drive along the sidewalk there, but definitely not a truck. So that would be my only consideration, not to do curbing like we did through the park, but rather do like maybe some kind of railroad ties that the trucks could still roll over, and we could still kind of contain the crusher fines and have some sort of definition for them. Because that could be the creek walk too. So. Anything else, you guys?
Yeah, what about the play features, the existing playground? Do we want to replace some of those features?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'd like to add another disc swing. Those seem to be really popular.
Super popular, yeah. Everyone loves those.
And we used to, down on the far west end where those blue tubes are, and then we got these weird kind of like brown shaped thingies. There used to be like a little grasshopper bouncy swing, but some drunk person got on there and broke it off and it never got replaced. So that'd be really nice to try to maybe implement another more proactive recreational thing on that end of town and at that end of the park, and get rid of some of those plastic tubes and things like that. So that's a definite consideration too, Tim. And then I guess we can reevaluate the playground equipment. Hey, Skylar?
Yeah, I think maybe Robin can look at some options for us and see what we could, because whatever we do, we want to complement what we did with the new phase. So more of that natural look. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I think we had talked about like maybe expanding the playground area, but I think if we're just gonna kind of reevaluate what we have and replace pieces, I don't think that that's necessary. Because that would involve more money and construction and,
Mm-hmm.
and take up.
Every time I walk by there, there's always little kids playing there on that park. It's really quite a popular park. They love that one thing, that disc that you kind of run around and it spins around.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. A lot of people.
And I
like
know
that.
you like it, Danu, but the teeter-totter thing freaks me out. And I always see kids almost getting hurt on that. But maybe our new playground assessment, our people with their certificates can look at that.
Okay.
I played on stuff like that and didn't get hurt too bad.
Colin, David, Rebecca, you guys have any input to throw in there? You're awful quiet over there.
No, I think we just kind of have to lean on your experience because you guys have seen the transition and have a better sense of flow. So, but it'd be great to see something put together so that we, then it would give us a chance to have more input, I think.
Okay, fair enough.
I was gonna say, with the parking space, if we could design it in a way that we could utilize it for other events too, besides just like parking, set up booths or something, I don't know, but create a design that where it's not like a bunch of cars crammed in there all the time, right? So like, I know it's not all the time, but if we could create it as a more, I don't know, creative space, it'd be great.
Yeah, I'd concur because I'd say that like a multi-use area. So that way, when we need it for parking, it's available on that rare occasion. But we could also use it for, setting up areas, display areas, booths, that kind of stuff. So it's multi-use.
Okay.
I agree with you guys, but also it is kind of like a utilitarian zone because there's also, I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but there's several businesses that house their trash right in that area, so I'm sure there's like trash trucks and I don't know who goes in and out of there, but
well, you're right about that, Chris. There are trash trucks that have to go over there and dump out the trash.
so yeah, I mean the whole area, unfortunately, it is part of our park, but it's kind of like a driveway, for
Yeah, but
lack
that
of a
doesn't
better
mean
word.
we can't spruce it up a bit, right?
Yeah. I do agree.
I just want to remind people, for those of us that have had the flood go through there, it's going to happen again. So don't get too wedded to anything lovely. Just saying.
Well, Chris is right. It is a utilitarian space. However, trash trucks don't come back there. The trash is hauled around to the front.
Oh, that's right, huh?
To be picked up. However, Jan does make a good point about putting too much in there that might potentially be damaged. We should consider that that's still a flood issue, a floodplain area that could get, I don't know. That's why all of the Williams Canyon Phase 3 rocks were put in. So I'm assuming we don't really want to disturb anything that was done as part of that project either.
Oh, that project's destroyed. That project's gone. That project never materialized the way it was supposed to. So I think we should just start from square one. Yeah. So. Skylar, I think that's quite a bit of stuff we got to go on, eh?
Oh,
Yeah, I'm
Donna,
taking,
we forgot to, oh, sorry, I'm interrupting.
No, it's all right. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, we forgot to say the thing about the water dispenser on the bathroom.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Skylar.
that was gonna be one of my comments. Is this an opportunity to kind of renovate the bathroom a little bit? While we're at it, just kind of spruce up that end of the park as well? Because I don't think the phase goes all the way to the bathroom, but we might as well include it since we're trying for this consistency across the entire park.
Yeah, I'd love to do a little bit more landscaping there too, around the bathroom, and carry it over into that planter area, or maybe we could create just a few more garden areas. Well, you could do your pollinator garden over there, Skylar.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
On the list.
When we get to that item, yeah.
I would love to see the bathrooms be renovated. They're in decent disrepair.
And I think they just got redone not too long ago. I know we painted, paid to have the bathrooms repainted, like, I don't know, maybe 6 years ago? Maybe 5 years ago?
Paint's a good Band-Aid, but I think there's definitely some other work that could be done. These are the restrooms that most visitors who come to Manitou use.
Uh-huh.
So, you know, to maybe make that impression a little nicer or aesthetically pleasing, as we're saying.
Yeah, you know, in Skylar, they're not ADA accessible, those restrooms.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This might be an opportunity to make them ADA and renovate a little bit.
Well, I think
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Skylar, do you know about the old Colorado City Bancroft Park bathrooms?
No, I don't think so. What? Bancroft? What's it called?
Oh, in old Colorado City, between, I think it's 26th and Coburn or something, there's a park called Bancroft Park. And in that park, they have just, and I don't know, it's got to be dang expensive, but maybe we could get a grant for it. But I think after, what is it, 4 or 6 visits, the entire bathroom shuts down and it washes itself on the inside. And it's got all kinds of fun decals and logos and almost its own graffiti on the outside. It's really pretty cool.
It's a bathroom, like a bathroom bidet.
Yeah, but Skylar, go have a visit to the bathroom in Old Colorado City and see what you think. And if it's, you know, it's go big or be partially working on redoing it every 2 years. I don't know, just a thought.
Yeah, that seems like that would be more capital improvement project, Skylar, and we already got 2 bathrooms already lined up to do. We got that.
But
Fields
add another
recognition
one and go big and
in
because
2026 or something, maybe.
well, if Jenna is saying this is the impression that visitors have, it might be a way to jump into something that we could actually, I don't know.
Why don't I have Robin look at it? Because everything will be itemized anyways, so we may just kind of end up picking and choosing from the list and, you know, what's realistic for this next phase. So
Yeah, because technically our monies, our pair monies aren't designed for city structure capital improvements. So that would have to come out of your budget for capital improvements.
yeah, I think a majority of this project will come out of my budget. We've got 250,000 for this year. And then I can request more for next year as needed. So yeah, we'll just follow the process and see what the architect can come up with as far as the next phase. But overall, just to summarize, I'm hearing connectivity is kind of one of our main themes, just consistency across the park, landscaping, lighting, and play features. Does that kind of summarize what we're looking for this next phase?
Say it again.
So I wrote down connectivity as far as trails and paths, landscape, lighting, and play features. And then we have kind of the addition of bike ride station, the bathroom potentially, enhancing the parking area. So we've got a few specifics, but I've kind of got this overall theme of what we're looking for to this next phase, just to kind of complement what we already did in a phase one.
Okay.
So I took some notes. Would you like me to send it out to all of Para before I send it on to the architect to kind of
Oh,
consider?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we need to kind of
Okay.
weigh in one more time on that and
Yeah.
just kind of clarify a few things for sure.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll put that together and send it out in the next couple of days.
And Skylar, I don't know if the thing Jenna brought up too, like the apron around
Yeah, that's important.
the west end of the pavilion, like sort of clean up that area to make it more usable for events and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, because basically we're still going off of her sketch, Skylar,
Yeah,
with the stuff that you're talking about. So that's why I was just trying to figure out what we wanted to omit and what we wanted to modify or add in. So
do we have consensus on omitting the water feature? Does anyone feel strongly we should keep that in
yeah,
there?
we voted. No, we
Okay.
voted on that at our strategic planning workshop. That one
Okay.
went down.
All right, just double checking. Okay. Well, I'll send out my notes and you guys can add to it before I send it on to the architect for their proposal.
Yeah, add to it, or if you guys want to clarify some of this stuff too, so that Robin can have something to refer back to, that would be helpful. And then if you want to just update all your notes again, and then before you send them out to her, it'd be nice if we could just kind of meet with her too, but I don't know if that's possible. Like maybe on site, do a walkthrough.
Yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll work on, we'll get these notes together, tell them kind of what we want to see in the next phase, and then I'll ask her to put together a proposal that'll include a couple of meetings with Parab as well as maybe a meeting with the public. I don't have my notes, but we talked about kind of the format that we wanted at the strategic planning. So I've got all that that I'd like her to include in her proposal.
Well, she's going to want to come down and have a look at it anyway. So when she does that, if we could open that up to pair up to join her through the walkthrough, that would be helpful. I think that we could kind of get a better visual of what she's thinking of, so that we're all on the same page. I think that would be good. Because I'm sure she's going to want to come down and look at this again. So you can find out and let us know, eh?
Yep, you got it.
All right, great. All right. Anything else, folks? If not, I'm going to move on. We talked about setting up a time to go up to Higginbotham Flats for a little field trip. I think everybody's been up there, either within our own little group or with Skylar. Yeah. So I'm kind of thinking to maybe send out the last minutes that we had with the joint meeting between Save the Flats and Parab, just so that you guys can have an idea of what we talked about at the joint meeting. Chris, you got your hand up, Chris? Oh, well. And then I think somewhere I might have some notes of what Parab kind of talked about as well. But I know that the more recent things that Chris, Rebecca, and I talked about was trying to have some sort of a Native American theme to that park up there. kind of like to honor the indigenous people, the Ute Indians who first came to this area. And I really like that idea of having either some kind of a gateway sculpture piece or something that would, you know, do honor to the Ute Indians. Any other thoughts on that before I turn it over to Tim? I don't know do I need to turn this over to Tim?
So, real quick, if we do that
Yeah.
though, I really want to make sure that we have some of the folks come out from the Ute tribes to actually get their perspectives. So we're not just doing it and then so have a collaboration. And so
Okay. Yeah. Chris, do you want to talk a little bit about that? How we met with Kat Tudor and she's got some connections?
Yeah, we met with Kat. We did a little field trip one day, informal type of thing. And Kat has some Ute elders. She had both a historian and yeah, she knows several people. And she's also willing to, you know, if we did ask these folks to consult on the park or to help us create any like interpretive signs, and you know, they could provide the verbiage for that. And she would also, she offered to provide, these folks don't live locally, so they could, she would house them at her place here in Manitou. And so, you know, she would collect, she said that she would partner with Parab to help, you know, offset some of the costs and support these efforts. So anyway, I think when we're ready for that, you know, I don't know when we're ready for that part of the process.
I was going to add to that. So when we do the tribal consultations, just know that it takes a long time, right? Months and so, and I have connections too. And so but know that we have to plan very long in the future.
Right. You know, and maybe maybe we, once we have a better idea of the design of the park, or, you know, maybe we say, hey, what we really need consultation on are signage, or you know, a point of interest in the park, or, you know, is there something like that you would want to include in the park, or, you know, I don't know. And the other thing I was going to say, when we plan our next field trip, I guess I would like to sort of involve OSAC and other stakeholders kind of even at that early stage. I think it's, yeah, I just think it to focus just on Parab at the beginning is sort of too narrow. And as time goes on, you know, we're going to be involving those groups anyway. And so I feel like maybe it makes sense to just do that from the beginning.
And same thing with the tribal consultation. They're going to be way more open if we involve them from the beginning. And it's not like, hey, we're going to do this now, throw a little, you know, sugar on top. Right from the get-go is the way to do it properly. So
that makes sense.
Discussion, thoughts on that? Any rest Parab want to weigh in on that?
I agree with all
Feelings?
of that, which means we need to have a plan set up, so.
Yeah, we need a vision.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what I'm saying too, is, you know, yes, Parab needs a vision, but like, how can we have a vision if we haven't really involved the other stakeholders yet?
Sometimes it
That
gets a
makes
little
sense.
bit, yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you, but sometimes it helps to start out with a seed to work with, and then from there to develop it, instead of bringing everybody on and not having at least something to work with to which we can modify and then grow it out from there. I'm afraid if we get everybody all on board with no direction or no vision, I mean, I think that we can maybe start focusing on the important things to us of what we want ultimately to have in the park or not have in the park. Maybe that would be a good place to start.
And I would say with that too, whatever we do, we're going to be impacted by the highway that's right there, because I mean, that is a nightmare to turn in and out of, and increasing traffic will be a problem. So I think we need to think about that as well. Maybe Skylar and CDOT and all that stuff too, but what can we actually do in that space that's reasonable and safe?
Right, that's a consideration. Yeah. So, well, you guys want to try to set a date in March to go up there, or do you feel like we have a pretty good feeling of it and we should just sort of just start with the ideas that we've already started throwing out there instead of like starting all over again? Can we just kind of work with what we've already established and then build off from there? Just so everybody can be on the same page, because we have some new members that weren't here at the beginning. Or do you want to change all of that we already established?
I'd love a chance. Skylar was nice enough to take me up there, but I'd love a chance to go up there with some of the other members of the board.
Okay.
Especially those of you who've been involved with it longer, just to kind of walk around the property and say, okay, here's what we were initially thinking for this area and that area. Yeah, I'd definitely be up for it.
Okay. All right. Dave?
Yeah, ditto. I'd second with Colin. I think that it would help for all of us. And then not to mention, I think it would give us some time between now and then to maybe come up with some ideas or it was interesting because wife and I went for a hike on the Ute Trail and it just dead ends. We were really disappointed because, it was the first time that we had moving here that we knew anything about it. And as we were hiking along, to see the signs that go on the trail. And then, like I said, the trail just stops and you end up we had to jump over to 24 and hike along that highway all the way into Woodland Park. So yeah, I think it's a great opportunity, and I would agree. I think it would be really helpful for those of us that haven't been around to get a better sense of the lay of the land and be able to kind of brainstorm a little bit with those of you that have been here for a long time.
All righty. You guys want to do it on a weekend?
Sure, or Monday around our, kind of before our meeting time also would work for me, especially with the days getting a little longer if we wanted to try for 5:30 or 6 on a Monday.
Can we have Skylar do a doodle poll for us?
Yeah, no problem. So we're looking at March timeframe for a site visit. Is that late March? What are you thinking?
Yeah, let's do late March.
Okay.
Does that sound good to you guys?
Yeah, I'd go.
Oh, wait a
sooner,
minute, wait. Spring break. When is spring break?
The 21st through the 25th.
Right, well, that week is out, right?
What about before the March 7th meeting?
I'm out of town.
Or no, or does it? Oh.
But I don't know if that matters.
It's tough because March is like the wettest month. So we may need a rain out day. But what if we try for a mid-March, like the week of the 14th?
Yeah.
Okay. I will put out a couple of dates and you guys can just click the poll and say what works for you, and we'll try and find a time that works for the most number of people.
Was that you, Skylar?
Yeah.
I swear you sounded just like Tim. All righty, that sounds good, Skylar.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, let me see here. Yeah, that works. Okay. But Mondays work better for you though, eh, Colin?
Well, I'm just thinking like, I kind of have this time set aside. This pair-up's coming, so I don't have other regular things. So a Monday, I mean, I'll do whatever everybody can do. I have time on the weekends too, but Monday evenings is generally open for me as well.
All right. Tim, you're out of town a lot too. What about you? Are you around on around the week of 14, Tim?
Yeah, earlier in the week's probably better than later in the week for me, but I should be around.
Okay. All right, great. Then Skylar, if you can just put together a poll for us, that'd be great. All right, anything else? If not, we're gonna move on to the Emma Crawford Memorial. Corey Schwerman. Just for a recap here, at our last meeting, we had talked about a location for the Emma Crawford Memorial. And I thought we had agreed on putting the memorial at the trailhead intersection of Inniman Trail and Red Mountain. So I didn't take a vote on it since it seemed like it was agreed on. So since then, Corey has changed his mind, and stop me if I'm wrong, Corey, all right?
Sure. I went out to the site and actually scouted some of the locations, and considering that the Emma Crawford.
Wait. And so,
Sure.
so where Corey wants to put the memorial instead of on the trailhead there, is he wants to put it at Memorial Park. And he went and identified a few locations at Memorial Park as to where he would like to see the memorial placed. So go ahead, Corey.
Okay. And Skylar, do you have those pictures by chance that you could pull up of the locations in Memorial? We had, so I had gone out and looked at this area between right by City Hall. As soon as you walk in, there's a big boulder. If you go 100 feet in, right against the creek, it seems to be a good area. That's where the ghost tours start. There's a lot of people preparing for the coffin races in this area. It would give it a high profile, which I think she deserves after 27 years of coffin races and the revenue that she brings in. So this seems like a visible location. Again, it's located near the Heritage Center. People have questions about Emma. They can literally walk across the street. So I'm talking about directly behind the train on the other side of the creek in the park. It's about 50 feet in. We do have the cost effectiveness covered because Crystal Valley Cemetery has donated the stones, the base of it, reaching a table height of about 30 inches. So it would need a placard on top, and it would need the base, cement base, to be placed in. But the access right there is easy. The installment would be an easy installment in the park, and it wouldn't be interfering with anything else that's there. It's a big chunk of property, wide open space.
I have a question. Do you mind?
No.
Is this Jenna?
Yeah, this is Jenna.
Okay.
Hi there. My name is Jenna. I'm not only a pair of alternate, but also the special events coordinator at the Chamber of Commerce. So coffin races is what I do. So I guess my first question is, where this kind of came from and why we hadn't heard anything about it at the Chamber of Commerce, given that, this is an initiative that we had started many, many years ago.
I had talked to City Council probably 6 months ago and pair up twice. This came from, I moved out of town and fell in love with Manitou. It's a wonderful town, very historical, and went to Emma Crawford's grave at Crystal Valley. And so I tend to the grave and look after it. Not a lot of people can get out there. The first thing you see when you Google Emma Crawford is the coffin races. So my proposal is to put a face behind the name. She's misrepresented by the ghouls at Halloween, and this was an actual woman who lived in 1880s. So that's where it came from. I had a passion for history and just thought it would be nice if there was something in town to represent her, as she does bring so much to the town, with the coffin races, and hopefully we'll get back to those.
Yeah, hopefully this year. And I do agree, it took a long time for her headstone to even show up at the cemetery as a result of historic Manitou Springs, which is great.
Sure.
But I, even with the emphasis that we place on stories and traditions like Emma Crawford and the coffin races, I'm not sure that I agree with the Memorial Park option for the plaque, and think that it would be better suited at the trailhead of Red Mountain, where she was buried twice. So a really significant piece of her history lays up there, and I think it would be well served and a destination for those hiking to come across. My 2 cents.
Okay, and I agree, but your visibility, the tourists that come into town for the coffin races are probably not going to hike up and repark to see this. So if it was in a more visible place, my initial idea was to have it by the town clock, but that was not a go. And then I also said there were 2 or 3 other areas, but I just found this is a big open space, and I can't see why it would be opposed. Since there is so much land there, and I'm offering the properties to build it with, the stones, the base. So Costa City is going to be the plaque on top, which is around $100.
Corey, I was hiking the other day on the Inman Trail, and at the Ute Spring trailhead, and also at the trailhead up Pawnee. On their trailhead signs, they have that Emma's beautiful picture right there on their trailhead, and they talk about Emma going up to Red Mountain.
Right.
I still think that would be the better appropriate place for her, which would be right at the base of Red Mountain and Inman Trail. My other concerns with Memorial Park is because that is the event park. We had a little free library put in the Memorial Park there, and we thought it would be an obscure place, but we got so much flack from the Commonweal people and other people who had events there that we had to pull it out of there and relocate it. So I don't think that the events people are going to be open to having another obstruction in their park where a booth could go, because during Commonweal, the wine festivals, the beer festivals, they put their tents everywhere, every single inch of that park. So
yeah, we can't even plant trees there without multiple approvals.
Yeah,
I like the Red Mountain location for many reasons. Plus, the last thing we would want to do is put this here and then have it become a negative, because of those other problems. And I think Corey, what you're doing is wonderful, but it is also important to listen to Danu, the experience that the board has, and the things that we've dealt with in the past can really help to inform your project and make sure that this flies.
I understand, and my main prerogative is just to have it done. So if we can have it done up there, that would be wonderful. My prerogative is just to have that monument, the memorial to her. So if it's there, it makes sense. It's part of the story. I get you guys with that. And so I don't understand the restrictions, but you guys do. So I think, hey, if we can do it at the trailhead at Red Mountain, then I've accomplished what I set out to do.
Tim, would you like to make a motion to have the memorial, Emma Crawford's memorial, be placed at the trailhead intersection of Inman and Red Mountain?
Hey, Danu, sorry, real quick.
Yeah.
I also need you to note that Corey suggested another location at the library. I don't know if you want to discuss that one at all before the motion, but that was also in the packet as a second location.
Well, seems like there's so much going on at the library already.
Yeah.
We're gonna have the kiosk there, and then we're gonna have
Right,
the
right.
it's construction, all the, I'm already having stress attacks about those flipping planters that look 10 feet tall.
That may not be the best place. As it was, that was the third choice. So I think I'm agreeing with Red Mountain Trailhead.
So Tim, would you like to make a motion, please?
Yes, I move to place the Emma Crawford Memorial in conjunction with Red Mountain and Inman Trail.
Do I get a second on Tim's motion?
Second from Jan.
Was that a Jan second?
Yes.
Okay, Jan seconds. Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Hey, no, Danu, I'll say aye, but I just had a quick question. I remember when we talked about this, there was discussion about where exactly on that intersection would it be? Because there's of course a big new sign there on the right. Is it still open to exactly where this thing is located? We're just
Yes.
saying it'll be somewhere in that intersection.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah. Aye.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, anyone opposed? Okay, the motion passes that the Emma Crawford Memorial should go at the intersection somewhere at Red Mountain and Inman Trail. Okay?
Thank you. Thank Para.
Okay, thank you, Corey.
Thanks.
Thank
Corey.
you.
Yep, thank you, Corey, for this for Emma. Much
Oh,
appreciated.
thank you guys. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
Okay, you too. We don't have any new business. Moving on to item 10, other business. Skylar, we have the Wheeler Park signage.
Yeah, I'll share my screen again. This was also in the packet, but we have this sign for Wheeler Park that's consistent with the other signage in our park system. So trying to decide, since Wheeler Park is such a small area, I kind of wanted some input from Parab on what to do with it. So there's a picture of the sign. The only real location that I could think of is probably in front of the electrical box there in the corner at Wheeler Park. The other, there's not really many other good spaces within that park since it's so small. So I guess I kind of wanted to throw it out to Parab and get some input since we all worked on this project a couple months ago. Do you like the location of putting it in front of the electrical box or not at all? Those are the two options, I think.
Electrical box sounds good to get covered.
Yes, I'll agree to that.
What do you know what the dimensions are offhand, Skylar?
It's probably 3 by 5 feet, 4 feet, something like that. Can you see that?
Yeah. You should have stood next to it or something. I'm kidding.
I mean, it's on the floor next to my door. It's in my
Yeah.
office right now.
Right. I know it is an awful big sign, isn't it? Well, discussion. Dave Crawford, this is your pocket park you adopted. You have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think to your point, I think it's a bigger sign, but I think it would be appropriate if you put it towards the back because it'll blend.
You mean to hide the electrical boxes?
Yes.
Uh-huh. I'm wondering how often those guys need to read, if they actually read that meter. So we'd have to kind of be careful about where we placed it. So I guess
I'd
just
probably
still
put
have-
it kind of on the edge of the landscape bed, kind of right there. So not directly in front of the electrical box, but maybe a foot or two in front of it.
Mm-hmm. Any other discussion, thoughts, opinions?
Okay.
Well, I guess I'll speak up. I guess I
Yeah.
don't like love that location, only because I feel like it might disrupt someone's labyrinth walking. But you know, the meter isn't very nice to look at either.
Mhm.
What about over by the bench? Or that
Well,
wasn't a great spot.
Yeah, we have the mutt mitts over there already, Chris, and that would be even more. See,
Yeah.
I'm torn about that sign too. I think it's way too gigantic for that park. I mean,
I
if
don't
we
think we need it. Right?
Yeah.
Don't we have the little plaque like when you first walk in about Wheeler and like, I don't think we need it, but that's my thought. If we have to have it, there is a good spot, but we can maybe not have it.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we could wait and see how much our spring growth that we plant grows. Maybe wait a couple of years, or plant some taller bushes or some. I guess I'm with Rebecca. I'm not nuts about having that gigantic sign there. I mean, I personally, I like how it's simple. It's just real simple, and it just kind of stands on its own without having like a big loud sign announcing its existence, I guess.
Well, I checked with the fire guys and there's two issues. Number one is that, and I've actually talked to Skylar about this because we seem to be drawing a considerable number of homeless people that are using the park as a toilet. And they say that they claim that they don't know that that's a park area, even though we got all this stuff set up. So I actually talked to Skylar about it, seeing if there was a way to open up those bathrooms and keep those open 24/7. But is there maybe just a possibility? I do like the natural part of it. So maybe there's just a way that we put the sign up there and take a look at it without making it permanent, and then maybe consider some landscaping options that would diminish the sign being this big placard.
Or if it was just I don't know. Or if it was just a smaller sign, I don't know. I'm not in favor of the sign.
The hard
That's
thing
me.
is that this picture was taken right in the winter, right? There's no growth there. I feel like the sign will kind of blend in with the bushes and the trees and the landscape over, the course of the summer months. I don't know, it's so bare right now that you're thinking it's going to be this huge eyesore, but keep in mind, this isn't part of the labyrinth. It's tucked way back in the corner, and there are a couple of nice bushes around there. I've got some pretty big doubts that any of those plants will come back, just the way that project went down, but it has potential, maybe eventually to have a nice landscape pollinator bed or something. But anyways, just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I don't know. That guy was sure swinging that hoe to get those plants in that ground, boy, Howdy, I tell you what. But my first thought is, oh, we're gonna have a nice sign there, so now people can take craps behind the sign to be hidden from the street.
Not only taking craps, but I was wondering if they're going to set up housing behind it.
Yeah. See, I think maybe the more open it is, the better off. And let's just paint those boxes green or something. I don't know. Do we need to take a vote on this, you guys, or should we just kind of wait on it and see?
I'm getting mixed messages. I think you should take a vote
All right.
or something. I don't know. I'm not feeling consensus here.
How about for the next meeting, Skylar and I will go out there and we'll hold the sign and we'll just take a picture so that everybody can see what
Okay.
the sign looks like.
Okay.
And
that's
try
fair.
not to step in any poop.
Yeah, that's no, you have to see it. If you see it, pick it up. Dave will appreciate that. Yeah. All right, do that.
I don't know that the sign's gonna detract from using it as a bathroom though. Like that's an ideal, but so I think we should make a judgment outside of that.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes.
So I propose that we would table this decision till the next meeting. pending a new
Yeah.
photo.
Yeah, yeah, how about that, you guys? Let's table decision on that. All in favor to table? Aye.
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 Opposed? All right. All right, we're tabling this, Skylar. You let that,
I'm
let
good.
that, let that sign sit up there a little while longer in that office of yours.
I'm just gonna hang it up in my office. My office is now Wheeler Park.
All right. Okay, pollinator stations and parks.
Yeah, I'm gonna make this real brief. It's late, everyone's tired. So, pollinators, I know this is something you guys have been doing for a while. So I've been working on a partnership with the Butterfly Pavilion up in Broomfield to identify potential pollinator beds. Some of the areas we were looking at is areas that has kind of underutilized landscape beds or turf areas that are kind of on the edge of the park that don't really have any play benefit to it. So the map I share here, we kind of started walking all of our parks. So there's a little yellow shaded area in each park that identifies potential pollinator beds. So the thought process is as we start renovating certain parks, you know, if Shriver is on our list to renovate down the road, then we may look at adding a few pollinator beds as part of that project. And then kind of so on and so forth with all the other parks. And there are also a few parks that I may work with the Manitou pollinators to get them to adopt and add some drought tolerant plants, some native plants, you know, just kind of rework some existing landscape beds. So some of the areas that I've been looking at this year in particular is Hiawatha Gardens. There's a streetscape area along El Paso that my staff has been working on renovating and cleaning up that area. So in the spring, we're going to add some trees. And Becca Sickbird and I met. She's going to start working on some public art spaces in that bed. And then we also identified it as a potential pollinator garden. So I'm working with Butterfly Pavilion to design and identify a couple of species that would do well in that particular area. So Hiawatha Gardens is one. And then I was also looking at the corner at Memorial Park. It's right off of Manitou Avenue and Old Man's Trail intersection. There's a little sign there on the corner that, anyways, it's got a turf area that has rotor heads, and some of the thought process behind this is water conservation again, opportunities to convert rotor head zones to drip lines, which uses less water. So anyways, that's kind of the gist of it. I have an MOU with the Butterfly Pavilion to identify 1 to 3 garden beds each year that we can convert to pollinator beds. And over time, we'll have, you know, several pollination stations throughout the city and build on the work that Parib has already been doing in the past, as well as the Manitou pollinators and some other nonprofits in the community that are really taking this initiative to, you know, conserve water and beautify our community in that way. So any questions for me?
Who's gonna take care of these? And who's gonna take care of the existing ones that exist now?
So the existing ones will be taken care of by the Manitou pollinators. And then,
and point out where those are again?
so the existing ones are Mansions Park and Shriver Park, the Gnome Garden. Yeah, by the footbridge, yep. So those are 2 that the Manitou pollinators has adopted. And I'll continue working with them to enhance those 2 areas. Hiawatha Gardens, that would be me and my staff maintaining those, and as well as Mary Ellen with the city gardener contract. And then the same thing for the corner of Memorial Park. We can pull that one off.
Okay. Questions for Skylar? Okay, I guess not. Anything else, anybody want to throw in? If not, I'm gonna adjourn this meeting. Thank you so much, everyone. Sorry it was kind of long, but covered a
Thanks,
lot of
Danu.
ground.
Thanks, Danu. Good to see
All right.
everybody. Thanks, Skylar.
Yeah,
It's,
and then just weigh in on that Google poll for our little field trip.
Okay.
You ready? All right.
Good night, everybody. Thank
Good
you.
night.
Okay,
Thanks.
Good night.
Good night.